Welcome to the Rise Above Show with Patricia Jo Grover. And I want to thank our proud sponsors, 133 Approved Funding, because when banks say no, they say yes. And they're helping businesses keep their doors open and keep employees employed. So thank you to them for that. And I want to welcome to the show today my special guest. And this is Henry Klauke. He helps coaches and consultants book more business so that they can boost their bottom line and ultimately impact more lives, which is helping them to craft their attractive headlines that capture the attention and inspire action. So don't we need this at this time, really? So, I'm so excited to have you here with me, Henry.
Thank you, Patty. It's so great to be here.
Wonderful. So, hey, you know, I, I was having a conversation with you a little bit before we got started, and I said I have been doing stuff with my business, launching products, speaking on different summits, and doing different events, and I have been not using press releases, and I really need to get doing this. And that falls into what you talk about. So I'm going to dig deep for you for ideas and stuff with that. And I know my viewers and listeners who are other coaches and consultants would actually, I'm sure they'll get a lot from listening to you. So, Henry, what give us the goods on this.
Press releases, particularly,
or just, hey, I give us a line. I mean, you can go down through everything for us to give us ideas and suggestions. This is what people want to know.
right. So, of course, I play in the marketing world, right? It's all about how can you stand above the noise when there's like way more noise than ever before. And as I was in that world and working with clients, I really realized that a lot of people weren't ready to dive all the way into all the little details of what makes a great message and what makes a great press release in your case, Patty. And so I thought, what's the simplest but also most important piece of any marketing message?
Right.
And it's the headline, really. I mean, you could have an outstanding piece of content, whatever it is, with a mediocre headline. It might never get read. People might not ever think twice to give your writing a shot. I know as entrepreneurs, we value what we do so much that it's like, of course they're going to read because it's so good.
Right.
That might be true, but you want to give people a reason and inspire them and make them go, tell me more. That's really what a headline's all about.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So that, I'm just thinking all these things. So I want to know, because I'll ask some more questions, but how do you define a headline, Henry?
Right. Oh, that's a great question. Writing a book, that book has a headline, a title. Email, the subject line is a headline. So essentially, if you want to define it, it's the very first sentence or two that people see with some of your intellectual property, so to speak. So, yeah, there's so many. I mean, yes, if you're writing articles, those of course have headlines. Your social media, they all have little blurbs or headlines at the top.
So all these things, and it's what it's how it comes across. So and I know it can be something that is exciting. It can be something that draws excitement, but it can be something that you're like makes you question, and if it makes you question enough, you might be interested enough in opening it or looking at it. Right. Yeah. So what's the number one mistake people have when they're writing their own headlines?
Oh man, there's many. Unfortunately, that's why I went this direction to help teach people what they're doing wrong and how to do it better, how to speak. It's like, it's all about entering the Google search bar and you type in your headline, hit enter, and it'll give you a letter grade. And so like, oh, this is an F, things like that. And a lot of people take that as law. They punch in their headline and they say, "Oh, it has to be 60% or over, or else it's terrible." And I don't say they definitely use them. They're tools for a reason, but it's way more for the beginning stages of a headline. If you've got some ideas, you're kind of playing with it, and you want a direction to go, you feel free to use them. But they have no idea what your product is or what you're promoting. They don't know who your perfect customer is. They're just very limited tools.
Right.
And so I've helped people with headlines before, and they come back with, it didn't score high. It's tough to see. So I just want to spread that message where don't lean too heavily on these analyzing tools. They're limited.
Right. So there's got to be some kind of magic to this. So can you share some of that, or is this a trade secret that you have?
Oh, no secrets here. I'm not one of these gurus who it's like, well, buy my $5,000 course if you want to find out more. But no, the secret is, maybe this is early, but I came up with a cheat sheet on how to write a killer headline.
Oh, so
yeah.
Yes. Can you
So
actually, right, can you go through some of those things on the list? Can you go through some of those things with us?
Let's see. Number 2 is all about striking a balance. And that's what you were touching on there, Patty, where it's, you want to get people curious. You don't want to give everything away. And the headline, this is another mistake people make, is they try to have the headline do all the work. Where as soon as someone reads my headline, they're going to sign up. And that's not what they're for. They're really, I love sharing this. I think on every podcast I've been on, I share this. The whole purpose of your headline is to get the reader to read the sub-headline. Or if there's no sub-headline, the first sentence of your description.
Right.
That's it.
I guess, I guess we don't really think of it that way, but breaking it down like that's great, Henry. Great tip.
Yeah, you never want to assume someone's going to sit there and read your whole message. You want to give them a reason and what's in it for them. And start there. Bring people more and more into your world. It's like, it's this elegant dance, which is what I like so much about it, where it's the headline is more in your target audience's voice, what they're thinking. And
good point.
Yeah. And then later you can slowly bring them more into your world. One great example is a colleague of mine. He's a business coach. And, he, in his world, doesn't use the word problem, uses the word opportunity, right? However, which is awesome, and I love that. In your headline, if you use opportunity, it's going to turn people off because they're not there yet. But if you start with problem, because that's what people are thinking, and then you bring it in and you say, well, it's not really a problem. How can you see the bright side? And then you've got them.
Right. Oh, that's great. That is great. Now, and again, we can go back to, like I said, I really need to start doing my press releases. So that's a key thing. But this can be for social media posts. This can be for emails. This can be, for so many different things. If you're writing articles, if you're creating a blog and having, those things. So, this is great and great timing for this episode of the show to come across. So, are there any other things on your little sheet that you can share with us today?
I lost you for that question.
Oh, are there any other things on that sheet that you shared with us? Any tips that you can share right now?
Absolutely. And I want to give this out to all the audience. I think we'll do that towards the end.
Yes, fantastic.
One of my favorites is number 3, don't get cute.
Okay, now let me ask, what does getting cute mean? Does that mean like getting cocky? Is that getting like trying to be funny? What is getting cute?
Right. Great question. I speak to more about it on the sheet, but
Yeah.
essentially and I see this all the time, is people trying to be so clever in the headline, and they come up with these like rhymes and whatnot. And what that really does is when people are reading it, it gets them wondering like, what the heck even is this?
Oh.
And it gets you get caught up in the cuteness, and I think that's what a lot of people think about when I think of marketing. It's like, oh, how unique can I be? How creative can I get? And it's really it's a tricky thing when you talk about creativity, because you want to look at what's proven to work, and a lot of that is just human psychology and just straight up telling people what they want. You don't have to get cute with it, because you'll lose people. And before they can even read that second sentence, like I talked about earlier, they're still confused. I'm like, what? Why am I reading this? Why would I ever want to look at this? Yeah, I warn people against getting too cute. And for me as well, because sometimes I'll want to go that cute route, and I'll look at my own reference sheet and be like, no, let's dumb it down, Henry.
Right. And I guess Henry, what I'm relating to this in different ways, because I have an inquisitive mind. So I always want to know all the bits and pieces of everything. So I have the tendency of putting too much information into something, because I want to be able to answer everybody's questions and not have questions out there. Oh, well, what about this? What about this? What about that? And I tend to put too much into, whether it be a post or an email or a lot of things, because I myself, I want to know all this stuff before I make a decision. So it's like, so they can make an informed decision.
Right.
So,
well, that's a great point, Patty. And it's something that I remind myself often, and my clients, is that you're not your perfect customer or client. You're just not.
oh,
And
hey,
something that's
a light bulb moment, Henry. That's a light bulb moment.
good. I mean, that's like with this whole shift I made with going towards headlines, is I really had to take a step back, because a lot of stuff that was easy for me after I've done all this training and all this work, it was way above people's heads. And so instead of, you could get up in your ego and be like, oh, they just don't get it. But instead, what I do, and I think it's the right thing to do, is say, okay, why am I missing the mark? And really back up and start from there.
Right.
Same thing with headlines.
Right.
If it's not working out, it's like, well, okay, what can I tweak? How can I make this more of a connection with my audience?
Fantastic. I mean, great tips and nuggets that you're sharing here. And, I really do think that many of us, because of what we've had going on, have had to shift and pivot with different things that we do. But also just taking a step back and looking at it as an outside set of eyes, and doing that for ourselves sometimes will help us along.
Exactly.
So,
there's a favorite marketing quip that I like. It's, you're selling to Homer Simpson. Pretend like you're speaking to Homer Simpson. Make it so simple and so easy, and even to the point of click on this link to blah blah blah, and like giving people the step by step.
wow. Yeah. Yeah. I've heard something similar to that, and I'm trying to think of what somebody said, but yeah, just really thinking of that. And but then again, part of me thinks, well, I don't want to dumb it down too much, because I don't want people to think that I think they're idiots. You know what I mean? Like that too. It's that kind of that weighing out. So there has to be a good balance, and so what would you say that is a best thing to use as a guide? Is there any special sauce that you can share with us for that?
Yeah, I actually disagree. I think you should really just make it as simple as possible.
Really?
Because even the smartest and most educated folks still connect to just that simple language.
Well,
And yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's not necessarily, you don't want to be condescending.
Right.
But, when you're just clear and use like simple desire speak, like the intro that you gave for me, which is excellent. It's just, help coaches and consultants book more business. It's like
Right.
a fifth grader would understand what that means.
Exactly. And that's fantastic. That's a great point right there, Henry. Thank you for clarifying, because again, this is going to help so many of my viewers and listeners. So wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. And especially with coaches and consultants, just there's a lot of jargon that goes on that I've noticed in the world. And one of the reasons I work with this group is I've got like 3-4 coaches myself. I love what coaches do. And another thing I've noticed is, outstanding on a one-on-one basis. That's like the coach bread and butter, or like a group coaching basis. But for like some reason, I've noticed a lot of their content doesn't translate to writing. It gets a little gummed up with these big words.
Yes, and we create our own language or our own keywords and different things like that, because what I say in when working with my people in my own community, and what I try to help people do is live their lives purposefully, joyfully, and gratefully. And so when you're doing, when you have these things or these keywords or the creating of your own language kind of thing, it's hard to translate that into something that you're going to share.
Yeah, it can be. Well, it's like, I'll share this example. Nobody wants a pivotal career transformation, for example.
Yeah, because that's right. Exactly.
But they do want, a new calling that fills them up with joy. So it's like, yeah, it's the same thing, but it's what do they actually want in their words, in their very own words.
Exactly. And breaking it down so that everybody can understand what you're trying to get across, and keeping that simple, like you said.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So,
right.
so happy to have you here with me today, Henry. So do you have any gifts for our viewers and listeners?
Well, yeah, if anyone would like a copy of my How to Write a Killer Headline cheat sheet, I'd love to give that out to our listeners. It's just henrysheadlines.com.
Right. And I have it up on the screen for everybody to see. So yes, be sure to reach out to Henry to get this information. And so with that, do you have any, so you have that they go right to the website for that?
And Pacific time or noon Eastern time, that is my How to Write a Killer Headline class. So I figured this is great, when you're starting a headline and getting some ideas, definitely take a look at this. But once you have something, it's like, well, how do I know if it's good? So I invite everyone who's a part of my inner circle and all of our listeners today, I include you in that, to come on, How to Write a Killer Headlines on Fridays, where it's really loose structure. People bring in, hey, I'm working on a book and this is my title. What do you think? And I'm like, oh, let's play with that and ask some questions, workshop on it. And the best part is the other people who show up, I'll float it out to them and say, what do you guys think?
Right, because, kind of like a survey thing.
Yeah, it's live market research at
right.
the same time as workshopping on stuff. So.
Fantastic. So that information can be all found at henrysheadlines.com.
Right.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, thank you again for being with me. And I do want to thank our sponsors again, 133 Approved Funding, because again, when banks say no, they say yes. And right now, so many businesses are trying to keep their doors open, keep people employed. So reach out to them. They need the same type of information that a bank would need from you. For anyone who'd like to find out more about me, you can go to patriciajogrover.com. And all my social media can be found at www.pjg.vcardinfo.com. I have a little video for everybody at the end. And again, thank you, Henry, for being with me. And
welcome.
We'll see everybody next time.
Bye.